What's up, guys? Yeah, you know what? I felt bad, guilty. We didn't have a show earlier. That's on me. I just got home. We are putting 2025 winter meetings in the rear view mirror. I don't know why I'm sweating, but ladies, gents, all of you, appreciate you. I'm kind of like in this restlessness. We've just been going and going and going for the last about 60 hours. Sunday night got in. We're networking late. Monday, we're there the entire day, which then ends with a late night. And then it was today. And so I'm glad some moves finally happened, but like I owe it to you guys. You guys have been great. Appreciate you. I know some of you are on. And glad we could talk about a couple things because I think that's what we want to talk about. So, yeah. So winter meetings, by the way, I'll tell you what, it's like an addicting. It's an addiction, really, because you are waiting for something to happen, at least like from a fan's perspective, and then it doesn't happen. But then you keep checking your phone, going, "What's going to happen next?" And then you put it down, you're pissed off, and then you pick your phone back up because you just think something's going to happen. And that's what it felt like for the first day plus, that you're hearing things and you're like, okay, this is kind of boring. And then you're waiting and nothing happened. And then something did happen today. Kyle Schwarber, the dude's back to Philly. So that happens. And whammy, Edwin Diaz is going from big market with the Mets to he's going to the Empire out there with the Dodgers. And then you're hearing all the rumbling. So we got a lot of interviews. That was the reason why we didn't go live, by the way. We didn't go live because we didn't want to compromise the interviews. If you guys saw the live stream the day before, a little choppy, and we wanted to make sure that it was all going to be crystal clear. So what you guys are going to have to look forward to, the full John Morosi interview will come out tonight, or I think tonight, if not tomorrow. The full Sean Casey interview will be coming out over this time period. Sean Casey was stinking awesome. Talked to Derek Sheldon, manager of the Twins, so we'll get that back so people could see that in better audio and video. What else? What else do we have? We had something else, but we'll talk about it. So where do we want to start with this? Are we all in agreement here that Kyle Schwarber, no one should be upset about that? Like the dude and his agent, shout out his agent, they're like, we're going to tell other teams that, hey, he's interested. And I'm sure he was, but deep down, Schwarber loved Philly. And it's a hard thing to pry away a guy that loves the place. And I feel bad for the O's. Like they had the best offer out there. And then the agent then goes back to the Phillies and goes, here's the offer. This is the Orioles offer. We're going to take it. And all they needed to say was, yep, we'll match that. And that was done. What can you do with that? He wanted to go there. You've had success there. And then, actually, I asked Casey that. And, the hard thing really is proving to guys two things. One, okay, the money's so damn good, I'm going to go. I'm on my way, and I ain't going to think about it. The other part is if the money's good enough and you love the place and you think you can accomplish everything you want because you already have accomplished so much there, it makes you want to come back. So if Kyle Schwarber and the Phillies, he didn't have success there and they weren't close to a World Series title or being a top team, I would say the move off, he probably would be more open to going to Baltimore or Pittsburgh, apparently, or the Reds, which that's a whole situation. But the reason why they didn't do that is because Kyle Schwarber knows what he has. That's the unknown with the player. And look, for Uncle Mike and the Birds, it's going to take a move for them to sign a guy and for the Orioles to win and to have a little bit of convincing. But for the Kyle Schwarber part, he wanted to be a Philly. It was well known he wanted to stay in Philly. The Orioles did their best. At the end of the day, he's a Philadelphia Philly. You know what's crazy to me about this? The Edwin Diaz deal, little crazy to me. Not that I don't think Edwin Diaz is pretty damn good. That dude's pretty good. But the fact of how quickly the damn closer market has risen. Maybe this is what I wanted to talk about and just like vent to you guys. And I'll get to some questions. I see the channel members. We'll talk about what's happening with the season, or like what's happening so far, like what could be possibilities. And some of the rumors I can debunk. I can tell you what I've heard or the recent ones that are out. But the Edwin Diaz part, he's getting $23 million a year. And if you look to where the market started, the Orioles got Ryan Helsley for 14, Devin Williams for 17 million a year. Now Diaz sets the market 23, and Robert Suarez hasn't signed anywhere yet. Now I don't think he's going to go above the 23 a year, but you're sitting there going, damn. If you were going to tell me any of the closers of the list that's still out there or signed is the best closer in 2026, are they not? Is Edwin Diaz going to be $9 million better than Ryan Helsley? If they win a championship and he's a huge part of it, no one's going to say a word. But like that's how this market works. That's why people are waiting for what Kyle Schwarber did too. Now Pete Alonso is going to sit there and go, all right, I know we're slightly different positions, but I'm a guy that bops. I'm a guy that can hit 40 jacks and 100 ribbies and be that guy. Let me see if I can get a little bit more money out of there and maybe an extra year to a team that needs to be a little bit more desperate. And I'm going to look, I think if Pete had a choice and the Mets were willing to play ball, he likes New York. Makes sense. But you see right there, that market moving really sets the tone for other decisions here. And when that market gets higher, then you start to look in other places for where you can get value. So that's where it's at. You know. So, and I see the parts here, and I'm scrolling back up because you guys started commenting on so many things. Appreciate you guys, by the way. I got a couple clips that we have from earlier that I'll show, and let's see. Where do I start from the top? So let's just start with the Alonso conversation. So Polar Bear Pete, let's think about this for a second here. Schwarber goes 5 for 150. If I do my math, that's $30 million a year. I think realistically for a team to sign Pete Alonso, you have to either increase the number of years, or you're going to have the average value be around 35 to 40 million. Now, 40, I think, pushes it. But if you do 35 million a year for 4 years, that's what, 4 years, 140? That would be interesting. I think 5 years Pete goes wherever it is, because 5 years, I could see like Pete 175, 170 gets the deal done. In my opinion, even 160. I think anything that beats Schwarber's deal, he'll take it. It's a no-brainer. I think Boston. Here's how I look at it too, and like this is the part with Casey. I think I showed you guys that clip with Casey earlier, but everyone that talks about it, Harold Reynolds said it. Sean Casey said it. John Morosi said it. Is we act like guys that hit 40 jacks and driving 100 RBIs just grow on trees, or that like we think about what they could be in 3 years or 5 years, and like it's self-explanatory. Like you don't know what's going to happen here, and this is the part of the system with arbitration where you're sitting there going, "Damn, if." Arbitration, it took a shorter amount of time for guys to get to free agency, then you feel a little bit better about giving longer term deals. But right now you're older. How long are you going to still be sustainably effective? But for Polar Bear Pete, dude, I think that guy's going to hit. And like, this is the reality. Let's pull up. I think I talked about this with Casey today. Actually, if you guys missed that, can I just play that clip back real quickly? Let me find it. Let me find it. Let me find it. And we'll keep talking some ball. Where the hell's the part? Let's go to this. And I had it on Twitter already and all that. But let's go to I guess I had to clip it down more. Okay. Not worth it. Not worth it. I'll post the full thing on it later. But Pete Alonso, over his last X amount of years, like this is the thing that I hate when people say RBIs are your product of the environment for RBIs. If that's the biggest load of horse shit, in my opinion. It truly is. Yes, some guys can be a product of better years having RBIs, like the career years, like where you're like, wow, that jumped up. Yeah, sure. But guys that consistently do it, that's a skill. Like you either are an RBI guy or you. So here's Pete Alonso's career stats. And I understand. I get it. Average fluctuates, but guy's a pretty damn good player. And you guys know on the show, over or under 3 seconds. Under. Where's the clip? Where is it? There we go. Whammy. You guys look at this right now. Okay. Pete Alonso in a full season has not had less than 88 RBIs. Let me say that one more time. In any of his full seasons in the big leagues, Pete Alonso has not had less than 88 RBIs. Can we think about that again? You know, the Orioles didn't have a guy over 68 RBIs this year. Pete's had three of the last 4 seasons over 118 ribbies, 118 steaks and above. And I thought Sean Casey said a great thing today, and I couldn't agree more. If you're worried about his defensive prowess and you're worrying about his WAR and he's not saving defensive runs, well, say he cost you 5 runs. Well, all right, subtract 5 runs from that in the RBI department. Hell, just subtract 10 if you really want to. That's pretty damn good. And you know what also is really cool? Let's look over to the games played here. In those years of a full season, he's played 161 games or more 3 times. He's played 160 or more 5, and he's never played below 152 in his career. And we're sitting here thinking, yeah, I don't think this guy's going to profile for the future. Well, this guy, where Pete Alonso goes, if he goes to the American League East, to Boston, New York, or goes, the Mets, it's the NL East, whatever. But if he goes to the AL East, that team is the favorite in the American League. Like, I don't think it's fully processing how important of a bat he can be. And so I wanted to show that. I think that is, it's astounding. Why do we devalue this? I don't know. I get it. Look, there's so many different things. You can look at WAR. You can look at that. You need to make up a roster to get things done. One of those things is having guys that drive people in. Now, if it's not Pete, could it be Kyle Tucker? That was the name that was brought up. John Morosi, we have that full interview that will drop here, so you guys can talk about it here. But Kyle Tucker, to me, if we're going to talk about the best investment, it's Kyle Tucker. As far as long-term, you're buying the upside, it would be Tucker for all those reasons. I think Tucker's best ball's ahead of him. He's got that ability. Do you need a left-handed outfielder now? I think you're okay. But Kyle Tucker, you could probably get a 7-year deal with him, or he wants a 7-year deal. Probably that average annual value is going to be down more, or 8 years, I should say. He probably wants 8. Pete I think 5 years, no doubt, gets it done. 4 years with the right amount of money gets the deal done. But that's the long-term fit. But, it's I see the comment, we need someone proven. Proven players matter. Talent is amazing. If you got a lot of talent, it's great. But the reality with the talent is if it's not proven and you need to win and it's a prove it year, you got to have guys that can take away that flexibility. So, or can take away that pressure. Yeah, because we saw what happened last year. And look, this is not just the Orioles. Here's one thing we talk about the Phillies. And I talked to a lot of people around baseball and the organization. You don't even need to talk to other teams about this too, but I like to hear the thought process from other teams. That's what I like to ask down at the winter meetings when I get to talk to some baseball executives, off the record, just talk ball. When you can just know who's in your lineup, say every night, 6 or 7 guys are just penciled in or penned in. You don't have to worry about them. You know how confident you feel as a team to go, yep, we have those guys. Like last year, it was whatever the order, and take out the injuries. Schwarber's your leadoff guy. You got Trey Turner, you got Bryce Harper, you got Nick Castellanos, you had JT Realmuto behind the dish. I know I'm blanking on the rest of the team, but you see what I mean? Like it's they're not platooning those guys. They're playing. They're rolling with them. That's, I think, the reason why, not the full reason why, with everything with Grayson moving, but Taylor Ward looks like he'll post up and play 150 or more games. Good. Great. So, yeah, time will tell on that. Let me see on some other parts here you guys were talking about. I know everyone, there's a lot of rumors flying around here because it goes, well, what do you do with the log jam? And there's a little bit of a jam. Something's got to give. Something's going to have to give. There's too many guys at one position. It's not rocket science. Something would have to give there. I still don't know how I feel like what's going to happen with Pete on this, but I do believe in the fact that the Orioles would go and make a trade. I think I said this in the past. I could see a trade to acquire one pitcher and you go out and still get a guy in the market. I think actually that's your best way to use this offseason. Go get one big arm in free agency, go trade for an arm, and now you add depth upside. The Gore Cabrera is a guy that I know, injury, high risk, high reward. Who isn't hurt nowadays when they pitch? But both those guys, high risk, high reward, more risk with Cabrera than Gore, but both still need to prove more. But if they hit, oh, buddy, they can be special. They can. So I think that's what it was. I was asked, do I think the Orioles are going to be done if they make that trade? No, I don't. I think the trade allows you more flexibility on your roster. I think it actually makes all your decisions easier if you go and make a trade. If you're following me there, if you go and get a controllable arm and then you sign a guy, you're back in a lot more flexibility and control. But then it makes you ask, who gets moved? And I don't want to jump to that because I think it really has to see of how serious this. But if you ever want a guy with years of control, you're going to have to give up a guy with years of control back, or you got to give them a player that they really like, plus give up one of your top prospects in the process. And I think just from the track record here, the Orioles so far hadn't wanted to move some of their guys because they wanted to see it through. I think that changes, but time will tell. Time will tell here on this whole situation. Let me see what else you guys talking about. With the channel members, appreciate you guys. Let's see. Rick, I'm glad you're sold, man. Sold. If I was going on a rant there. Rick, we have a legit shot with Alonso. And here's the thing, though. I don't know if it's really going to be an outbidding war. I think the Orioles are proving they're going to put money up. Like, and I know in the past they're saying, and Morosi said, I'll play that clip because I think this is I think I agree with a lot of what John says here, but I also think there's a slight thing that we have to consider again. So about overpaying guys, here was John talking about that line. If you guys missed it on the stream earlier, here we go. I'm going to pull it up here. Over and under 3 seconds. You guys know when I move, you move, just like that. Let's rock. Let's rock. Let's talk about something that the Orioles are going to have to consider.
Orioles, and certainly if you're the Pirates, you're not. The goal is not to level up and have the same offer as the incumbent team. You have to go past it. Yeah. You have to overpay, and if you are disciplined, this is why the sport is so hard. If you are disciplined, you will finish perfectly second and third for every player that you want.
And that's the perception that they've been fighting.
You cannot just finish second and third. It's like, now again, the Jays live that reality. They were finishing second on Ohtani, on Soto, on Sasaki, you name it, Yamamoto. They were finishing second all the time. And until they started winning some bidding. They got Santander. And then they had some things fall into place for them this season. And then they went out and they were super aggressive on Cease.
Yeah.
I think that you have to probably, I'm going to overgeneralize here.
Yep.
But I think it's a fair statement that often, not always, often, you have to step way outside your comfort zone. Maybe not way outside, but outside your comfort zone and go a little above market for the player you want to eventually build a culture and build a roster that earns you the right to pay what is more commonly described as market value for people in the future. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Once you have, so think about the Nationals. You saw it, you lived it.
Yep.
So they bring in Jason Worth, and then eventually players wanted to play there. Yeah. And you started seeing players, and again, Max Scherzer's deal was very healthy, but it wasn't like bonkers like what people thought Worth's deal was. And so you eventually, through your success and your reputation, you earn the right to pay more of a market value for the players that you want. But you have to start out, as the Tigers did 2 decades ago, as the Nationals did with Worth. You got to start out by being a little bit outside of your realm to be able to then build the infrastructure that you need to create a better, healthier organization.
Damn, my hairline is actually way higher looking at it from that angle. Hair still looks pretty good, but John's words, and what I agree with the fact of what do players want? A lot of players want money, right? They want dough, but they also want to find a concept of where the organization is willing to go. And for Pittsburgh, for instance, of saying that they were really legit in on Schwarber, that's great and all, but for a player, do they believe that Pittsburgh's going to win? If they believe they would, okay, that helps with your decision. If they don't, probably not going to end up there. In Baltimore, I think that, like, I got, you guys saw the Craig Albertaz interview. If you haven't, then you should go take a look at that interview. I love Albie so far. His demeanor is really energetic, and you can gravitate towards him. But that's still not enough yet to prove for guys to come to Baltimore. It's not. Probably going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. But the Schwarber case, I want to emphasize on that. The Orioles set the market. They set the market. It just turned out that the Phillies had the last say, where they go, hey, Phillies, take it or leave it. If you want us, we'll do it at this. And they said, yep, we'll do it. That's the case. It wasn't that they went back to the Orioles and said, hey, you want a little bit more money? No, that was that. But in this case, for the other players, you're right. Some of them you're going to have to go a little bit more. And that's why I give the Blue Jays credit. Dylan Cease getting 210. I mean, his upside's undeniable. Great stuff. Inconsistent a little bit, but great stuff. They said, screw it. We're going to give you the offer you need to come here. and they did it. So for Baltimore, that's one thing to look at. But this is why teams are looking at the trade market here. And like Cabrera and Gore are – I still don't – if I'm the Nats, I don't know why you would give up Gore. I mean, they still are looking, down the road here. But I think Gore is a damn good arm. I think I'm very bullish. I'm very bullish on what he's going to become. I am. You got to fix the walks a little bit, control, but wipeout stuff, he's got wipeout stuff. So does Cabrera too. So like when you're going to make a upside move with control, you do that. You need to, I'll pull up. I also got to see Edward Cabrera in AAA in 21. He's throwing like 94 mile an hour changeups. It was ridiculous, but he had good stuff, but didn't know how to pitch yet. And then this past year, 3.53 ERA, progressed, got better by the months. He actually had a Dean Kramer type of situation where if he didn't have an awful month of April, you're looking at Cabrera full breakout. The dude had a 3.53 ERA. Actually, let me pull up the screen. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. And shout out Dino. I always like to give him, remind people, if we take out Dean's month of April, I can show it to you guys. Like you go, wow, this dude should extend this guy right now. But it's because that first month of April is horrendous. And he knows it. How do I share? I thought maybe Zach would pop on, but he's had a long day. He's a good kid. He's worked hard this week. Same with Zach. Just good kids. All right. You see how I see this real quick? So if you see this number down here, that 7.23 ERA, woof. Like that's problematic. But then look at this. 2 ERA, 2.89, 2.43, up down month, 4.15, and then ended with a 3. And now, yes, being injured and missing time, but look at what he is capable of doing. Now, his ball kind of profiles to not be a big strikeout guy. If you look at this, he has some outings, 10 and 11. I think he can be a strikeout pitcher, but typically speaking, you're not banking on him being a strikeout pitcher. 137 and 150 Ks, just over 1 an inning. Almost 50-50 to ground ball to fly ball ratio. His ball plays with sinks. It's a lot of bit of sink. I don't. It's overall. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm on the vertical zoom. I'm sorry. Hey, come here on the vertical zoom. Boom. I got the little zoom in feature there. He's got 137 innings, 150 Ks, to clarify. 137, 150 Ks. And overall here, Cabrera, whoever the team that gets him, like, and I saw that the Cubs were the other one, so I'm looking at teams that you're looking how to invest in your squad. This is an investment opportunity, and you got to feel like you have guys in your farm that can make a compelling argument. But when you look at the guy right there, and I think I told you this, I've asked you this, guys, before, or I shouldn't have asked. I've explained this to you. We have this perception that pitchers in general are going to be 3.5 or below because – they should, right? This is MLB. Elite pitchers should have a 3 ERA and below. And you're right. Like a 3 and below is pretty damn nasty. But the game's changed and the consistency of pitchers in ERAs has changed. So if I were to tell you right now how many pitchers had an ERA of 4 or below, curious what you guys would think. Like if you had that number of qualified pitchers of ERAs in all of baseball, that had an ERA below, what did I say, below 3, below 4. I'll start with below 3. Start with the elite. I'll start there. There was 12 pitchers this past year. 12 that had an ERA below 3. So, okay, elite years. Now let's go with the guys that had an ERA below 4, if we want to go that far. Guys that had an ERA under 4. All right, you guys ready? All baseball. Pitchers that had an ERA under 4. Got a number? Got a thought? 17. So between the 3 ERAs, there's 12. For the under 4, there's 17, maybe 8. Let's round up, say it's 30 total pitchers. So 30 total pitchers in all of baseball. 30 have an ERA below 4. Edward Cabrera had an ERA of 3.53. If that ERA for Edward Cabrera right there of a 3.53, just to give you context, that would put him as the 20th best ERA in baseball. It's crazy, right? And you know what? I appreciate you subscribing just for the facts. That's what I'm kind of here for. I got a baseball background. We talk football. We talk baseball. Baseball is the backbone here. But I try to explain that. Like, that's the crazy thing in this situation. And by the way, if you're talking about our boy Dean Kramer, or my guy, Dean Kramer on this list was 35th in all baseball at the 4.19. Framber Valdez, who's a pitcher that guys really want. And look, the track record for Framber's been good. Still have, you're curious of what happens there, but Framber had a 3.66. So, and again, fluctuates. You want consistency. That's why I talk about Ranger Suarez. Whatever team gets Ranger Suarez or Pete Alonso, if I were to rank the free agents, like guys that very impactful for next year that are still available, Framber would be the number one had what happened last year with the Astros and the cross up, because now you're wondering in the locker room, is that a problem? Is he more of a problem in the locker room? Do you have other questions? You don't want to have a culture issue in a locker room and worrying about trust. Because before that, to me, he's number one pitcher on the market. You get him consistency. If we're going to talk about consistency, it's Ranger Suarez. You're not worrying about him. He's comfortable in big games. He's not the top upside put away stuff, but the dude can pitch. So he would be the most safe, in my opinion, with upside to just do what he can do. Most impactful bat is going to be Pete Alonso in 2026. I just, beside that, that's gone. Schwarber's gone. Pete Alonso is that bat. If you guys saw those numbers, they're spectacular. There's no one else in that list. Even a healthy Kyle Tucker isn't. If he does that, then tip your cap. But I'm going to roll with the guy that's still averaging 40 and 100 and 15 RBIs the last few years. So I think that's a little thought. And you know what, Rocky? I saw that you're a new listener, follower. I appreciate you. As a player, Ryan, doesn't Framber's attitude negatively impact the team's data or team's chemistry despite his data? Yes. I think that people in sports and people around, it's not just baseball, by the way. Go watch the NFL right now, which, if you're a Ravens fan, let's just not watch it for right now because it's a little bit frustrating. It's a little bit brutal. What's a touchdown? What's a catch? I don't know, but I digress. Look at teams that have fallen apart, and you look at it and go, is it a talent issue or is there something else going on internally where they're not connecting? And when a team has that negative juice that gets in there and it just spreads, or that virus, it kills a team. Kills it. Like the Mets. The Mets are a great example. The 2025 Mets were a far superior roster than the 2024 Mets. It's not even close. The 2024 Mets were a better team than the 2025 Mets. Why? They were gritty. They were tough. They were fearless. And when they got hot, they rode that wave. Now, the last year's Mets, they made all those moves at the deadline. They took some guys out of position from, moving guys out of when they traded for Helsley, moved him out of his spot of being a closer. The offense couldn't get things together. You could feel that they were in that funk. Like you could smell it, that funk that they were in from miles away. But that was not that anyone I could say was wrong with the Mets, but the locker room was off. The team was off. So you got to be really careful of what you bring in. You have to. And I'm seeing about when people are talking about the Orioles. I'll get to that in a second here. I'll get to that in a second. Actually, let's talk chemistry. Screw it. Let's talk about this. I see this, Grover. So chemistry, this team, if you're talking about Baltimore, this team all loved each other last year. This is not a lot of guys like each other, but it is far-fetched to say that everyone is buddy-buddy. I'm just going to say that. That's not an Orioles thing. That's everything. Liking someone in the locker room doesn't mean you have chemistry. You can love somebody and not be on the same page. Or you're so caught up in your own failure that it's affecting the people around you. Or when you're losing and you don't know how to get the water out of the boat. It's like you're trying to throw water out the damn boat, but there's a leak that's there and you're thinking about scooping the water out instead of fixing the leak. That's a chemistry thing as well, like working through that. It has nothing to do that they don't like each other. But I did want to point out, it doesn't mean that you have to like everyone in the locker room, because even on the best teams, not everyone is your favorite person, but you learn how to work together to win. So, Alvarez, I think, is going to be a huge, huge culture guy. And actually, one of my favorite parts of the interview with him, and this is why I love how the Guardians and Vote does his thing. Voter with the Guardians, it's that message in the room where when fire, there's fire everywhere, everything's burning around you, you stay the course. Because the Guardians last year, are you kidding me? Hey, by the way, we're going to take away 2 of your pitchers, including your all-star closer, because he's going on a gambling leave. He might be in some serious trouble. He might go behind bars. Like, that's how serious this is. And on top of it, you're saying, we might sell Stephen Kwan. Okay, we'll keep him. Okay, we have injuries like other teams. The Tigers are humming. And they just wore it. They struggled. They wore it. And then you know what? They went on a bender. And talking to Alvarez about that, you guys, please go watch that clip. And maybe I'll clip that up for you guys to put it on Twitter or Instagram tomorrow, or the TikTok, the talk. That is culture. That's chemistry in a locker room. When shit gets tough, you figure it out. So I think that's such a huge part. And Leia, just like any other job with it, when you're in a place where the environment is great. Like, it. You walk in, you feel it. I know that overall this year for the Ravens isn't very pleasing. But if we were to say, for right now with the Ravens, is it a talent issue, or is there seem to be a funk going on overall with the team? Even the Eagles right now, Philly, like it's almost like they played into the media's heads of this offense isn't doing well, and then they were still winning games. They were winning games, and then it felt like you could see that guys are hurt. There's tensions, there's frustrations, and clearly the frustrations off the field are now flowing onto the field. It's across it's across life, and that's why I like to relate everything to life. When you're in a better headspace, you work better with the people around you. You have a culture that helps you get through the rough times together. You're going to be a better product. You're going to be a better company. Sports are the same way. That's why, like the 2019 Nats, they were 19 and 31. They caught fire. Chemistry grew. They battled. that's the championship caliber you need to win games. So I digress. On it. Yeah. Hey, you know what, Rocky? New to this, appreciate the dedication. We go live every day for. I gotta admit, I'll be on a 10-day hiatus. You guys will have to deal with Zach and Brad for some personal, just a little time off. Got married recently, get to relax a little bit, but then humming for baseball, humming for football season. We got a lot of great guests. If you're new to our channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah, for some reason, you crazy people, we have people that are tuning into this on a 1:45 a.m. East Coast time. I flew home, so I just my sleep schedule is off right now. It's off. I'm sweating. I kind of want to eat. I kind of want some tequila, but I wanted to talk ball. So I saw that, and I appreciate that. I say, how long is the winter meetings? Most guys are wrapping things up by tomorrow. Most people leave Wednesday morning, maybe Wednesday afternoon. So in general, the good stuff happens from Sunday to Tuesday. So like last year in Dallas, Sunday night was the Soto deal. Monday, Fried and the Garrett Crochet trade. And then, some of those deals, really it was more late this year. It was more late. And all that good stuff. It's yeah. But then we got the Super Bowl coming up. So when the time comes, so like we cover baseball, football, and we like community. We have great guests where to continue to line up. If you guys love off the cuff stories, should I tease? You guys want me to tease a story for you guys? Since it's late and you're up this late, you want me to tease a story that we have with Sean Casey? Because it's fun. It's a good story. Maybe as we wrap up for tonight, I'll put that one out. Actually involving my dad played with Casey just came up into the bigs. So it's pretty damn funny. But overall, we are going to continue to bring you as much coverage and insight as we can. My job here is to have you guys understand, make it relatable, understand the insights and the thought process here. So when you're looking at the deals that are happening right now, and they said the Cubs and the Orioles for Cabrera, I understand flexibility with moves. The Cubs are thinking the same thing because they're trying to. The Cubs are. It's a weird situation because it doesn't look like they're going to retain Tucker. They still can win right now. They got talent. But they need to upgrade pitching. That's a big part that hurt them in the postseason last year. Or not hurt them, but that was a need. They needed more pitching at the deadline. They didn't get a ton. So that's an intriguing thing that I'm watching here with the Cubs. Because whoever trades for one of these guys, it could knock them out of the market, or it could allow you then to spend money elsewhere. Like it's when you get prospects. AJ Preller with the Padres is the best example. He likes to get known commodities over necessarily, using up some of his guys that he has. And then if he hits right, he's going to hold on to the guys that he wants. But knowing what teams want and what they need and how they operate is really important. And seeing that down there and looking at how teams are, it's fascinating. It really is. It is. Tampa Bay Rays, they like to buy low on guys that can bounce back. Seti Mullins, hey, 1 year, $7 million deal. Hey, how you doing? That's a perfect Rays move because low risk, but Seti could ball out. And if the Rays are playing well, they hold on to him. If he plays well and they're winning, they hold on to him. If they're losing and Seti's balling, well, guess what? They're going to trade him away and get some pieces because Cedric Mullins can help a team win. So there's a lot of things here that are a part of it. So, Yeah. Let me see what we got. Yeah. Yeah, Laura, I know a lot of people got opinions with Scott Boras. Boris gets a lot of the big deals for his guys, but it creates a lot of headaches for people. And you find out how teams need to operate. Like that's one thing, and maybe I'll say that for a little rip after dark because I can't give away all the secrets. But I love hearing how people think. Like I talked to some people with the White Sox, talked with some people in other organizations, and you're trying to hear about like hypotheticals. What are you looking for? And when you're asking teams for players that are hot commodities, you sit there and you go, all right, I understand your thought process, where you're at, what it's going to take, and where you're projecting yourself. How much money are you going to spend in the next couple of years? It's not that they're giving a number on how much they spend, but you can put the pieces together. So that's like my mind just races with that. What are the thoughts on the Yankees? So this is the important part because I know I got a big Baltimore audience here. This is the important part of why a team like the Orioles, they need to make moves. It's not a matter anymore of you have the young talent. If you don't capitalize, you're going to be left behind because the Red Sox are back. The Yankees never left. And the Rays are a thorn in your side. And the Blue Jays might be the best team in the American League East now, especially if they go and get another guy. Everyone thinks Toronto's not a big market. They are. Like Mark Shapiro, the president of operations, sat down with him. He just flat out said it. Like, we're here to spend. Like people love the Blue Jays there. And a lot of players actually like to go to Toronto. The only downside is the logistics of getting to Toronto and the border and just that whole process. But it's not. Everything else they love it. And Toronto just went to the World Series. So the Yankees, if I were the Yankees and looking at what Cashman's trying to do, like I still think that Pete Alonso would absolutely mash as a Yankee. But the Yankees are going to get Cole back. They have Fried. That's the best duo in baseball. If Garrett Cole's healthy with Max Fried, that duo is insane. Adding Carlos Rodon, that staff, the Yankees starting rotation, hands down, should be the best, at least in the American League East. Bat-wise, when you have Aaron Judge, you're going to feel like you're at a battle, but they need a secondary piece. And I know they really like Bellinger. Maybe Kyle Tucker fits in, but Belly, you're talking about a guy that fit in there and thrived in New York last year. I'd bring him back if I were them. And I think they want to bring him back. I really think they do. New York in a situation, I think they rely a little bit too much on Judge, a little bit too dependent, and that can cause problems. So adding two bats for them would make more sense because the pitching side, they're really good at developing pitchers too. So when you look at it, the Yankees have one of the best hitters in the world. And I know their fans are saying, let's get a little bit more aggressive. But they did go and sign the top pitcher last year in Fried. The year before, they signed Rodon, who is now looking really, really solid. So, they're doing their part, but they need that extra bat. Right now, if we're looking at the teams, the Orioles are the fourth best team in the American League right now in the East. Not that's where it's – that's not a worry. The Blue Jays are supposed to be the fourth or fifth worst, or finished fourth or fifth in the division last year. So it's not about that, but that's the context when you're looking at the rosters. The Yankees pitching can help them with Aaron Judge in the lineup, can help them mask some of their offensive issues, which they still are a pretty good offensive team, but the style of which they play, they need a couple other pieces. But I do like Ben Rice. I do like I like the McMahon trade. I know he's got to hit a little bit more from earlier. So, and that's the part. No matter what, if the Yankees struggle next year, they're going to be pissed off. They're going to be back. They're not a rebuilding organization. They're a retooling organization. Same with Boston. So, this is why with the Birds in Baltimore, like it's so. If you're ranking how important it is, like the teams that could take the biggest jump next year, Reds, Orioles, Cubs are in that weird spot because I think the Central's just open. Like the Brewers are great, but that's still open. Those are 3 teams. I think the Royals will bounce back too. That's 4. So 4 teams. Yeah, you got to make the run. The East is by far the best division. So, we'll see what happens there. We will see what happens there. The Yanks. I know with Volpe, I feel for him, man. Like that dude was thrust into position at a young age. People were so happy and excited for him, and he's domed up. He's been domed up. But I digress. Okay, before we call tonight, I said I would give you guys a Sean Casey story with my dad in the minors, or not in the minors, in the majors in Cleveland. So I think I have this clip here. Let me check. When I move, you move, just like that. Over or under 10 seconds. Let's see. Okay, we got it. Yeah, we'll do that one. He's got some great minor league stories too, but we'll do the one right here. Over or under. You guys always know the under. Here we go. Hum now. Table for Humana. 3, 2, 1. Here's Sean Casey, one of his early stories when he saw Carl Edwin Jr. in the big leagues.
Incredible story about your dad.
Okay.
So I just came into the big leagues, 1997, with the Indians. You talk about being scared. I was scared to death.
Time out. Let's try this again.
Incredible story about your dad.
Okay.
It's not popping up. It's just me. One more time.
Incredible story about your dad.
Okay.
So I just came into the big leagues, 1997, with the Indians.
Can you guys see this or no? Like, is it popping up or no? Awesome. Audio, no video. Oh. What is going on? Okay.
So I just came in.
This is just fantastic. I'm going to remove a video. Is it just that you can't download? No, but Rick, you want to see it. You need to see his face when he talks about this.
With Matt Williams.
This is grinding my gears, man. What in the Bakers? All right, try one more time. Breathe, work.
Incredible story about your dad.
There it is.
Okay.
So I just came into the big leagues, 1997, with the Indians. You talk about being scared. I was scared to death. We just played the Orioles. And first off, I'm walking in the clubhouse with Matt Williams, Oral Hershiser, Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez, Tony Fernandez, Sandy Alomar Jr. I mean, we're talking about the best team in the game, best team in baseball at them with 97 innings. We're loaded. So I'm walking in. Richie Sex and I are young kids. So, and the young guys, after the game, is Fernando Montez, our strength coach, was like, you better get your lift in. You better get your lift in. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get my lift in. So I remember coming in to get my lift in, and dude, seeing your dad, I'm like, oh my God, there's Cal Ripken. Holy crap, it's incredible. He's at the lat pull down machine. And I'm looking closer. I'm like, there's Cal Ripken. He's doing lat pull. Look at that back. He's jacked. He's guy's bigger than I thought. With six Bud Heavies on ice. And I go, is that what you got to do to be one of the greatest players ever? When you come in to lift, you got to have 6 Bud Heavies on ice in a little cooler that the clubby was like, here's your Bud Heavy. Yeah. And then I watched your dad work out, and I was like, I don't think his workout ends until those Bud Heavies are done. So he was like going around. He'd drink one, and I think he might have walked out with 0 or 1 Bud Heavy. Oh.
So I got my response in that because there's a lot I grew up with, but yeah, I love hearing like the stories behind the scenes of it. And Case is awesome. He told some great stories. I had to talk about his hammy too, about the Savannah Bananas, baby. And yes, the one thing I did want to, I meant to tell him, didn't want to hurt his feelings, but technically he was right because they went to the World Series that year. The Orioles were the best team up until the ALCS that year, hands down. Hands down. But there's another part of that story that you guys will have to see for the interview where it's good. We got some good ones there. But guys, now I think I'll go to bed. You guys should go to bed. It's 2 freaking in the morning. There's not going to be a move tonight. Now that I said that, there's going to be a move tonight. So you guys be good. Appreciate it. If you're new to it, hit that like and subscribe button. You guys know we have our big studio, but I just got home, decompressing. Thanks for letting me vent. And it's not even vent. Thanks for letting me talk a little bit about ball with you guys and keep me sane. So be good, guys. Be well. Have a day. Have a night. And then we'll talk at 8 in the morning when it happens too. Yeah, and yeah, sports. See you guys.